A lot of things open, honestly, that could get picked out. Kayle was one of those champions that, honestly, in North America, it's a case of when you left it open, I'm taking it.
Yeah, I mean, it's that ultimate. It's just so devastating. When you put all your bursts, all your ultimates into one person, you can't kill him because of that. It really just sets you behind an entire fight. But we do have, the support, which has typically been the first pick for most teams, just kind of a safe pick. Sona would be surprised, picked up for Nif. He's been playing a lot of Nunu Sona, but he's playing Nunu before he was nerfed again, or before he was, I keep saying nerfed, I mean balanced. Again, blowing the blood boil, attack speed, and movement speed. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Sona as a first pick. And then also wouldn't be surprised to see an AP as their last pick for Ocelot.
Well, it's also, it's been a strong champion of Nif, but it could take them out of the comfort zone. But no, it is going to be the Kayle, the original choice.
I think that actually be jungle, though.
You think that's going to be Herky Bot?
I would say, well, okay, I think they'll leave it open to go where they want to, depending on who Against Authority picks up, but I don't think also showing his deck too early.
Well,
I don't think he likes showing that
champion. The beauty of Kayle that RNA had talked about it. It can be top, mid, jungle, wherever you're going to have put it. It's just like Kha'Zix. There's going to be Sona. No surprise there, ladies and gentlemen. I expect to see Ezreal following up as well with No.
We've seen in North America a lot of Alistair coming back as support, and I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen it.
Tarek everywhere.
Well, yeah,
he's to go with that Jarvan, yeah.
But I'm kind of surprised.
Outrageous, I believe.
Is that, wow.
Truly outrageous.
Truly
outrageous.
But Virtual, he's played some Jarvan before. He wasn't that convincing, if I remember correctly, on his Jarvan. I mean, you have to focus on the early game where you're really strong, but he does lock in that Volley Bear, which, mixed in with the Thresh, which we saw Gambit do last game, was just insane, but he will have that Sona as support instead. And Thresh still open, and I'm really surprised to not see it, snatched up right away.
Well, Volley Bear is going to get taken. We talked about Ezreal, but, Candy Panda doesn't tend to play that much. He tends to be the Caitlyn Panda. It's kind of like his mix as one, but... Well, we mentioned Jarvan in the jungle. Hadn't been played a great deal, but may well get locked in here. Herkymot could be playing that one. We have also seen Peke playing Jarvan in the mid in one of the games. Actually, no, it was Shushay. It was Shushay, wasn't it? Yeah. And there is Tarek. Wow. Did SK watch a lot of North America over the last 2 days or what? Because suddenly they've gone, actually that kind of works. Well, we're going to use that.
It also kind of gives you a little bit of a hint. Potentially we could see an Urgot come out to mix in with that combo.
Good lord.
We need to see some sort of AP, I was going to say Shlaya, because, if you have a
Shlaya's Nidalee was what turned the Giants game.
Yeah, those spears, I mean, he would almost 100% to zero their support in that. I can't remember who was playing actually. Was it Giants?
It was the Giants game.
Giants, okay. I kept hitting Babetta, that's what it was. But we do have an Ezreal being hovered over. But
it's going to get locked in. It's going to be no on Ezreal. It's kind of... that bottom lane, I don't think they've picked anything else in the LCS so far. They have only played 4 games, but we did already have Corellia saying, let's see if I can go through the whole LCS playing Sona.
Well, the thing is, Ezreal's a very safe champion. I mean, you're against a Tarek, so you know you're going to be stunned. You have to be able to get that mobility to get away. And as we do have Candy Panda hovering over Varus, which we've seen quite a bit of.
Tristana's actually a champion that Candy Panda has played a lot of lately. We've also seen Tristana played by... I'm
trying to think as well.
Is it no, not Mega Zero. It's Heartbeat. Yeah. Heartbeat, same team. Heartbeat in the North American LCS lately. So the AD carry champion pool starting definitely switching, but Varus is still being a favorite in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw last game, Hosan, I mean, even though they didn't win the game, he's played an amazing lane. He got those kills, even when Leona kept dying over and over. But he's a very strong champion, especially against the League of Warmogs we have going on right now, because the percent damage is just so devastating. But SK, with their last pick here, most likely going to be a top lane. I'm just not really sure who Kevin wants to play exactly.
Well, I'm thinking of the wave clear. If you're up against a poke team, you want something that can keep those waves at bay.
Or a really hard engage.
Yeah, something which you kind of have with... Oh my word. Okay, so that's gonna open things up. So that's now gonna be Aurelia in the top lane, Kayle in the mid lane, Jarvan in the jungle, and it's gonna be Varus Tarek bot lane.
A little bit interesting is that we have a team against Authority who just wants to poke you down before they engage. But then we have the kill on SK, which is kind of...
We're seeing a very different SK gaming right here.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the kill is not really a good counter to that. I mean, yeah, the heal is going to be nice to have, but, I mean, you want the Kayle ultimate against a team that engages on you really hard. Against Authority is not going to do that unless they get someone very low, which, I mean, then again, the Kayle will be used right away. So it kind of seems a little bit counterproductive, but it was their first pick, so they were kind of, going for that kind of route.
Well, they have a dive comp as well. I mean, the fact that they have the Jarvan and Aurelia both going in there, they have the slow that Ocelot's going to put down and the intervention should you need it. There's a lot of cover, and, the fact they have Tarek, he's enough to basically defend Varus.
Yeah.
And actually, if you think, I'm thinking back to COG Curse that was on last night, the great defensive work that Chowster and Aframu did, you know, that's a kind of similar setup that SK have here to just cover off Varus as well. But there's going to be Jace
that
to poke
is
it, so
ridiculous.
that's insane.
So
Poke.
now SK can't even hard engage anymore because you have the acceleration gate to get away, you have the slow from Volibear, you have the crescendo out of Sona, and then you have the double poke. This is going to be such an ooh kind of game.
You're going to get Hergibot Cataclysm in, and then Virtual's just going to get out of here. I don't want none of that. Just flip him straight out there.
This is going to be a good game.
30 seconds to go, Jason, before we do get into this match. What are we seeing with these two team comps?
Nope, against Authority, going with the poke with Nidalee and Jace. Like I was saying before, they have that really nice disengage. You also have a strong engage if they want to do that. Volibear running at you with this Q and the acceleration gate. You're not going to escape that bear. And then over on SK's side, they're trying to get in there. They have a pretty, good tanky front line with Jarvan with the Rayleigh, even with Taric using that extra armor, and who's just pretty tanky overall. They have a really good composition for standing the damage, but I don't know. I still feel like their engage isn't that strong. We might need to see, the heal speed up for Jarvan out of Ocelot, and maybe a Shirley's coming out because they just need to get there quickly, and they can't match the speed of against the Authority.
Good Lord, just thought that. I mean, like you say, the acceleration gate, also the Sona buff, the speed. The speed of that bear is going to be ferocious. It's going to be bear charging you down in an angry session, but there on your screen against all authorities, how have they managed to prepare for this? They've been here in this studio effectively preparing, and every time I sort of come down to leave the studios, there is against all authorities practicing on the stage. They have been getting so comfy on that stage. SK Gaming, of course, they've back in their gaming house this week. They've been there preparing all week, so I wonder how that setup there was. Arguments in the camp, it's safe to say, after the 2 losses, which is inevitable when you go 2-0 down. Yeah. They have had changes. We've had some issues in the team, and it's kind of the thing of SK Gaming. The question is, how have they adapted with that 2-week period off? I really hope they've kind of changed overall as a team. Instead of looking at it like, oh, who failed, look at it as, how can we improve next time? How can we stop this mistake from happening? How can we, work on the X, work on Y, and really become the SK that we kind of want to see and we kind of know. Because the first week against EG, they played a phenomenal game. We're just seeing the teams awaiting. It's kind of a thing here at the League of Legends Championship Series, and honestly, any event that anyone goes on the computer after Gambit, it's kind of messy.
Yeah, I mean, Gensha, he plays on a windowed small screen.
To be honest, there's about 3 or 4 of them to do. Yeah. They have strange settings, and this is not the first team that I've heard following Gambit on these PCs that have gone, okay, we're gonna we need like a complete install. I don't know what's going on here. What have they done to this? But the settings that they have. But you know what? Players got used to basically making the machines as close as they can to their home PCs. It's very hard to adjust sometimes. And like I mentioned, the fact that against all authorities have been here in the studio on those very PCs for so many weeks has made them effectively feel like they're their home PCs. So they're just comfortable setting in there now. Yeah, and we'll see it in this game. I mean, they're going to be playing champions they're really comfortable with. They're playing a composition that's pretty easy to pull off as long as you can get that disengage. So, I mean, they're kind of, my favorites in this game, to be honest, to win it. Well, we do see Schleyer there. Has got a scarf around him. Look, there's the scarf of power. Has it?
I wonder if he wins, he gets Ocelot's scarf, or if Ocelot wins, he gets Schleier's scarf. It'd be pretty interesting.
Whether it's going to give him enough power in those spears. Of course, he is up against Ocelot. If you have just joined us, this is the League of Legends Championship Series Super Weekend. It is SK Gaming versus Against All Authorities. It is a Friday, by the way, here, in case you've just woke up and thought, where am I? Why is this the weekend already? Well, it's not. It's actually a Friday. You've missed school, or what have you done? You've probably missed your lessons right now because you're watching League of Legends on the stream. Worth it.
Make sure to say worth it out loud.
Yeah, you got to make sure you get it out there. But we are coming into this game. SK Gaming as the blue team against All Authority as the red team, or AAA, and SK as we will refer to them in the game. But not really seeing anything from level 1, and honestly, neither team kind of have a setup. If anything, SK Gaming probably could have gone for the invade, but the poke comp's not a team you want to invade with.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've seen pretty much every European team kind of run this exact kind of setup, and not in terms of team comp, but in terms of what they do at level 1. We have people waiting around their own red buff on the blue side, and as well as on the red side, they just kind of spread out, like in, I think it was Kobe saying, the line of scrimmage, just to hold their side, just to prevent any kind of invades, which I'm kind of surprised at how passive most teams are playing at level 1.
Yeah, there's not been too many invades, late invades, and it's interesting because if you think back to the Season 2 finals, regional finals, etc., there was a lot of talk about level 1. You know, the teams had to be aggressive. You know, I can't really use the words that Crepo used, but it's safe to say you've got to be a little bit more manly, I think is the expression that I can use. You've got to grow some balls. I could think you could get away with that one, but that's kind of what you've got to do in the level 1 fights. But we have seen teams win and lose matches in that level 1 session, so it's you know, it's safe to assume that sometimes these guys, when it's just a simple best of 1, win or lose, go home, as it were, session that you can have sometimes, because sometimes they only have 1 game in the LCS over a weekend like Gambit did last week, so they don't want to lose too much. But wow, he went really low there. But Freddy taking the blue buff.
Yeah, he's lane swapping, which is going to be kind of interesting in terms of his items, because he went for 6 or 7 health pots and 2 blue pots, which I mean, if you're going to get blue, then you don't really need to do that in lane.
Well, maybe he wasn't sure he was going to get it.
That's true. I mean, he could have saw Invade and a steal, but actually do have Against Authority invading on this blue side as Jarvan is going to be spotted by that word going into the enemy jungle.
This is going to be a smite steal as well with the virtual, and they have managed to get it, so they have both blue buffs. Hercubot's just come around to go, okay, they're invading, I'm going to get their blue buff.
And their wills, but
damn,
wait,
it's gone.
There. And that is a huge pickup for Against Authority, really denying Jarvan that early game advantage he really needs. And taking a look, just really quickly, just kind of run you through any special runes or matches we're seeing. And Freddy 122, he's running 12 flat armor pen, which is kind of interesting to see him use. Obviously, he's going to want to be poking as much as possible in that late game. And of course, Nono and Candy Panda are both running that 1% crit, which we've seen. We talked to Crepo about it, Lewis Crepo, and it's like, why not? I mean, if you get that, actually, no, sorry, it's Hosen who's saying if you get that crit early on, you win your lane pretty much. At level 1, that's so much of their health that you're going to have such an easy time. And Nono also taking a book out of Genja's playbook, running that 15 flat armor pen, so he's really going for that damage against a really heavily armored team with Tarek. But dive is coming down on the spot lane.
The dive is coming down, and we've seen it all weekend in North America. It's in the week, actually. It's not a weekend, but it's first blood nevertheless. It is going to be picked up by Hercubot. That will turn things around because that gives him the double buff.
See, that's what I was talking about. That's what I was confused of seeing that many health pots and that many blue pots, because it's a Jarvan. I mean, he's so sneaky with the way he can get around the jungle. You have to expect some sort of gang like that, especially when you're going 1v2 against a Tarek who can just stun you. So losing that blue buff is really going to hurt him. But still, meantime, yeah, Against Authority pushing the top lane. Might be able to get this turret down before Kevin can do anything about it.
Yeah, and Kevin is trying to keep them at bay. We've gone North American here, ladies and gentlemen. So how do they counter this one? Well, we know, meanwhile, down the bottom, actually, wow, very, very, very low Tarek there. Nif with absolutely no hit points showing on the blip board there. That was simply a case of tanking the turret. They are going to keep pushing, and they're going to keep pushing both sides. They should be able to defend this one off, though. They won't go too deep.
I mean, actually, well, we saw like a mirrored push. I cannot remember the teams off the top of my head, but I think it was Daintos and Curse, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Both pushing their bot lanes like that, bot and top at the same time, but they're still denying a lot of farm over to Kevin because Aurelia, she's not that strong early on. I mean, she has some decent power, but you have to get tanky on her now since attack speed costs so much more to buy.
Well, how does this work out? Who does this favor? Taking the turrets down this early, does it favor the poke comp, or does it favor the strong, aggressive, and counter team?
That's the thing I'm trying to figure out is that, I mean, yeah, for Against Authority, you have the poke comp, so the later the game goes on, the more damage you're going to do with your poke. And then SK has a really hard engage team, but, you know, taking these turrets, getting as much gold as possible early on is going to help you get the tier earlier on Shalea. It's going to help you get potentially a Shirelias onto Coryllis so you can escape a little bit quicker. So Against Authority, I think, has the advantage with this whole thing that happened, but they are down, you know, about 800 gold at this point.
Well, Hercubot standing on a ward there, so Shalea wasn't going to fall for that one. Being pressured back to his tower. He is down on CS, 39 to 22. Quite a difference in that mid lane early on.
Yeah, and Ocelot's going to, well, I mean, you're talking about Gambit taking a finger, or if you give him a finger, they're going to take an arm. Ocelot does the exact same thing. If he gets any sort of advantage in that mid lane, to use that to that full extent. We do have a pink ward going down onto Dragon, and Against Authority, I mean, they have all 5 members down towards the middle. Actually, in the middle of this map, we might see that 5-man push on this mid lane, and then turn that into a Dragon on top of that.
Could be an early 5-lane poke. We do see Freddy instead going to go back, so I expect to see him go into top lane. Against All Authority is now going to rotate down to that bottom and try and keep the pressure down on that bottom lane. Hercubot well aware that Virtual is there, of course, putting down his own ward, but there's a pink there, and it's going to be Virtual clearing it straight out.
I think we could have saw actually a 5-man mid push if Against Authority had their own blue buff, because they did lose it on Freddy, and then they also gave the other one to Virtual, who stole it away. So if they had that blue buff, they could have pushed the mid lane. They could have had, you know, limited harass, which, you know, SK can't really deal with at this point. But instead, they're just going to play a little bit passive, just back off, and we do have the AD carry support going down into this bottom lane. Another 1v2 happening yet again.
And there's a switch around. Yeah, they're actually sending the Aurelia down the bottom there. So Kevin's quite happy to go 2v1, like you mentioned. And it's actually Ocelot is returning to that mid lane. So it's going to be a 3-man stack for SK Gaming. Potentially going to go for Dragon here, although I believe Hercubot, he's on the golems at the moment, whether he's going to go back. They're getting in position. It would be an early Dragon if they were to go for it. They did also see the pink ward down there, but Kevin continuing to keep them busy here.
And we've seen CLG and A talk about this quite a bit. They're pretty much when the AD carry support take that bottom turret, they switch to the mid lane and push that turret as hard as possible because it's really... Oh, Kennypan actually getting tossed in and getting hit with the turret.
Going straight in towards it. Virtual, is there enough damage? No, they thought about following up there. Of course, they have got the intervention should they require it, but they didn't manage to go for it. They do have Hercubot coming out the side, though. Slayer just pounces away in time.
And this might be another turret going over to SK. They're being very aggressive. They're trying to take as much gold as possible, not delay this game, and not give Against Authority that chance to get the mana they need to just poke forever. And that was actually a really great play of SK. That really was. That transition from the bot lane to the mid lane was perfect.
Well, this is very early push in here. Candy Panda still only at level 5, doesn't have that ultimate available. There's no crescendo from Slayer, from Corellius, of course. He's only level 4, so he can't crescendo and keep them at bay from this turret. They have a 4-man SK push. Are they going to rotate round? They realize the blue buff is up. It's a full-on aggressive push towards that blue buff, and it's also making No back away in that bottom lane. And
don't face check that. Okay, you did spot it with that Mystic shot, so he knows they are taking this away. And this is what EG did to SK in the second game they met up, because we had Ocelot running Nidley in the mid lane. They denied those blue buffs away from him, so they could not pull off any sort of extended siege. It's a great play of SK to pretty much look at what they did wrong when they ran that poke comp and fix it.
And it's a good fix, really, for the fact that they didn't have a blue buff at the start. You know, they had them both stolen away. Hercubot has really adapted very well, but Against Authority realize they've pushed SK down the bottom of the map. Can they try and get a little bit of poke on this middle turret? Slayer's going to have a minion wave to try and get a poke on there. Also tosses the spear out straight into Kevin's face.
And actually, interesting item. We see Stinger picked up as the first one for Kevin. And I'm trying to... Zephyr, there we go. Zephyr's item is going to be picking up with that eventually, which is a nice item. Gets a lot of attack speed. Also, the many merch as a tenacity you get from it is pretty nice as well.
So as it stands, it is 1-0, 11,000 gold to 10.5k. So very close, tower apiece. Starting off North American style and switching into farming style.
Yeah, the scoreboard doesn't really reflect how action-packed the game's been so far, and to be honest.
Yeah, they have been motoring around this map with a lot of lane changing, and speaking of lane changing, we have Against All Authorities making their way down towards the Dragon. There is a pink ward this time around from SK Gaming on it, and no pink wards available for Against All Authorities, so they're not going to be able to get in and try and clear it out. And, you know, took it to Crepo the other week. It was great to have a discussion with him because he talked about those pink ward fights that happen. You know, if someone pinks one of his wards, he turns around to Yellow Pin and says,
he just started a war.
It's a pink war fight, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go for this one. Ooh, thought about flipping in there on towards Yerky, but of course he could have just slid his way straight out of there.
You know, it was a nice little transition out of Against Authority right there. They didn't have the tools they needed because they saw that Kenny Penny was in the top lane farming. They could have transitioned, taken that dragon, and then defended that top turret because there's no way Kenny Penny could take in that in time. But they didn't have the items they needed. Unfortunately, missed out on that really nice opportunity. But in the meantime, we still have Ezreal and Sona in the bot lane pushing up against Kevin, and Jason get a nice chunk of farm in this top lane. But that's kind of much gives them key, like, hey guys, we could probably go for this. We have that pink ward down. We have Candy Penny coming down from the top side. Let's just prepare for it.
Candy Panda does motor his way down there as the moment Freddy shows himself. They have pinged on towards Slayer as well, actually. Maybe seeing if they can get a little bit of poke on him. Candy Panda is sat. Wonder if it's going to try and fire and sneak that ulti out. Here he comes. He's going to try and come through. Is he going to flash? The Dazzle comes in there. Candy Panda does fire the ulti off. Hits Slayer. Virtual, sorry. It pokes across and it's Slayer that gets caught out in the crossfire. And Candy Panda takes him down. He's going to try and finish off the turret as well. The turret very low, but he's going to go a little bit too deep. Corellius still yet to hit level 6, so he hasn't got that crescendo available. So Candy Panda just strolls away.
And Against Authority can't afford to make these mistakes. They have to pretty much drag the game out without losing anyone and deny as much kills as possible over to SK because they need that poke. They need the game to last to that point where they can just sit back and have these sieges. But that mid turret will be going down for SK.
And there is Candy Panda, does manage to get it. It's actually deep play from Hercubot. The rest of his team weren't quite on the same wavelengths there, and instead takes a lot of poke, means they're going to have to back away and buy. And again, that opens up an opportunity for Against All Authorities to go to Dragon.
They have to be very careful here, though, because if they don't take it quick enough, SK could get back in time and just destroy them in a team fight, because against Authority doesn't want any of that. They don't want to force any fights. They just want to, obviously with their composition, work with that, get the poking in, but SK still pushing that mid lane, going to be coming down from the side, and I don't think, against Authority won't be able to take this.
Well, against Authority, you're going to start it off. The question is, can they take it? True Shot Barrage used out there. They have it down to half health already. I think they may have enough. They should get it. Yeah, SK Gaming didn't quite go full tilt, and it's Virtual that picks it up with the smite.
Yeah, it was a nice ulti by Nono to really just, push them away, say, hey guys, we're doing this, and we want to get it, so just get away from us. But, against Authority, they're responding the correct ways. They got the Dragon. They're getting these global objectives. They have to defend their own blue. They need to put a pink ward on it. They have to protect it, because if they lose it yet again, that just puts Schleia so far behind.
Yeah, and of course he needs it for that poke to work out from Nidalee, putting the spears out, catching Herky-Bot, but he's going to take away those wraiths. They're starting to try and claw away any little advantage that they can gain from this one. Slowly but surely. But as it is, Herky-Bot is going to take those wraiths and just walk away again.
It was like, I see what you did there kind of moment. But yeah, I mean, they're strangling them as much as possible. Honestly, an early Oracle wouldn't be a bad pickup out of Corellius just to kind of deny this vision, because SK is being very cocky. They're being very aggressive and just invading nonstop.
They are invading non-stop. We do see Freddy back in that top lane, farming out the waves, 82 to 75 CS. Mid lane, it is still Ocelot with an advantage, but it's starting to close back up there, and also the AD carry is still very close. So across the board, item-wise, starting to get towards completions. What are we seeing starting to develop here, Jason?
Well, looks like we might have Bloodthirster picked up for Nono, which, I mean, why? That's actually a perfect item for him, because you can harass. The more AD you get, your missile shots can do more damage, so you can keep poking with your team. Candy Panda doing the same thing as on his side, because you know what? If he's going to be poked down, he needs to be able to heal it up. They need to be able to length, if they do get sieged at all, to kind of hold on as long as possible. We do see, looks like a Warmog going to be coming out of Kevin fairly shortly, as a Lock of the Iron Slayer for Herky-Bot. And then we, of course, have that Nash's Tooth picked up on Asa. And SK, I mean... Oh! Did he steal? I think he actually took it.
And Nono managed to steal it away with a True Shot Barrage. That's what they needed. They could have done with it being on Schleia, though. But nevertheless, they do prevent SK from having that steal this time around.
And so, I mean, that's a great job. They warded that up. Oh, Kevin. I mean, those spears do hurt at this point. He doesn't have a lot of AP yet, but still, I mean, obviously, the more you can hit, the better chance you have at winning that fight. And against Authority, they're fighting back. I mean, they were looking like they were going to lose it pretty early on because of what was happening. SK, the control they were putting out, but they're really getting back in this game. And
I mean, it is the ability to siege and poke. Is it? Oh, a great dive there from Kevin up towards Freddy. Freddy getting caught out, crescendo used, but it's not going to be enough. Kevin absolutely decimating there. Fantastic play with Aurelia to close the gap and catch on towards him, and that gives them a kill and turns it to 3-0.
And this is what I was saying before, against Authority can't afford to lose members like this, because you're giving SK exactly what they want. They're trying to pick you off. They're trying to get the gold that they need to start engaging on your own turrets and getting just a couple more items completed. Against Authority, since they don't have the blue buff on Schleia, they can't afford to just group in 5-man push at this point.
But what I was about to get to before Kevin went straight in there.
Oh, man mode.
With Kale and Tarek, they have the double heal. Is that enough to counter the poke strat that against Authority have? Can they just, top each other off every time someone does get caught?
At a certain point, yes, but if Schleia gets enough AP, it won't really matter in the end, because they're going to pop that hard engage with the Jace acceleration gate, with the bear running at you, with the speed out of Sona. They're going to, hop on top of you. But if they keep Schleia underfarmed and without the items he needs, they easily could heal that up. But then again, Tarek doesn't heal with a lot, and it uses a lot of mana. But offside will obviously have some AP behind him. And that is pretty much a good counter to it. And they're doing a good job of preventing it against Authority from being in a situation where their heals won't be enough.
You see Freddy wiping out that top wave. Has got the build toward a Cutlass now. Starting out. What's he going towards?
Sword of the Rune King.
Sword of the Rune King? Blade of the Rune King, I think is the correct name. But it's actually an item that a few people still question as a first item build.
Well, it's against teams that build health early on. That's the counter for it, because they don't have a lot of armor, so you do that percent damage, that 5%, a lot more towards the 5% end of it, obviously, without it being reduced. And we do have, obviously the health on Kevin, but no one else is necessarily building that health at this point. So it's kind of the situation where, is it really beneficial to build that as your first item when you're trying to poke down the squishies? Most likely not, but then again, they need some sort of answer to Kevin when he gets in your face.
Well, clever little play from Schleia there, preventing Kevin from getting the siege minion, so keeping that 40+ gold away from him. I'm not too sure what it's up to at this stage, 15 minutes in. But as it stands, Herky-Bot is coming around. He's got himself the red buff, so not giving the red buff to Candy Panda. Interesting to see how that one's, whether that was an invade. I didn't catch out whether he managed to steal it away from them, where that red buff's actually come from.
Well, the thing is, it's actually, I think, honestly, the better part to put it on Hercubot at this point, because he's the one that's getting in there quickly with the flag combo, and he needs to be able to hit someone to slow them down so the rest of his team has time to catch up. So overall, I think honestly that's the best choice at this point until Candy Panda gets the items where it's really going to benefit him a little bit more.
Well, Jarvan used to be one of my favorite champions. I know Panky is in the house. It's definitely his favorite champion. And see how Hercubot does deal with it. Of course, that Cataclysm, he can be a kill or cure sometimes. It's the type of dive in. It's like, no, wait, I've got him. Oh, wait, I've just blocked my whole team.
I've blocked my AD carry in there with me. Oh,
yeah. Oops. Sorry. But as it stands, SK Gaming are the ones that are pushing. They're the ones that are starting to be aggressive here. They're the ones that are keeping the lanes shoving towards them. So that poke strat is kind of going against them. And from what I recall of my days alongside Jat, if the poke strat starts to fall behind, it is very, very hard to get back.
Yeah, but I think also SK is giving them an opportunity to make it work as well, because they're giving them this free farm. They're trying to push the waves up, but they're not grouping. They're not trying to get these turrets and get these objectives. So, you know, Schley, as we see, he has an easily large rod. His tier is almost stacked. He's getting the items he needs to just be really effective with this poke. Fortunately, Jace doesn't have one. He doesn't go for a tier, which is a little bit interesting. If they're trying to go for a full-on poke comp, he's going to need that extra mana. But against Authority, they're really getting back into this game, and they're trying to shut SK down. And it's pretty much a battle of the wards at this point. If SK can catch against Authority in their own jungle and keep denying that blue buff away, they're going to have that nice clear advantage. But then again, it's the same thing for against Authority.
Well, what is interesting for me so far for against Authority is the total lack of boots. There's no boots for Virtual, no boots for Nono, and no boots for Corellius.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like thinking, like they have the acceleration gate. Yeah, they have the Sona E when he does pick it up eventually, but they can't afford to be engaged upon. Ooh, that's a nice spray lane on the Candy Panda. They can't afford to be engaged upon, and yet they're leaving themselves susceptible to that.
Well, Candy Panda, if he gets hit.
Oh, Ocelot teleporting in.
Again. Oh, and Nif manages to eat the spear this time. The teleport has come in from Ocelot, but honestly, I'm not too sure what they can create from this one. Hercubot thought about going in. He has still got the flag down there. There's going to be the crescendo. Didn't really hear a great deal. That's a brilliant Varus ultimate, and they managed to pile in. Corellius gets dropped there. Beautiful, beautiful engagement. Slayer has to use the barrier. Hercubot knocks him up. Is it going to be enough? You can see Kevin keeping him down. He's going to pick up the double kill. Meanwhile, Virtual cleaning house down the bottom, and now Kevin is all alone against Nono and Virtual. So while that was all happening, while Kevin was making the plays against all authorities, tore apart the back line of SK Gaming. It's a 4-for-3 engagement, and against authorities is going to sneak away the dragon.
And that was an insane ultimate out of Candy Panda. He blocked down the 4 members against authority on that side, but even with that, they just came out big. I mean, Virtual, you got a double kill on that. We even had Schleia pick up that kill on the Hercubot. That was so well played by against authority. And even with the crescendo it wasn't really a perfect crescendo.
He already caught 2 people.
Yeah,
I think,
and it was Jarvan and I can't remember the other one. I think it was Nif, but it's not exactly who you want to hit, but still well played by against authority. And the gold, I mean, it's exactly even because of those 2 dragons and because of the couple kills they just picked up there.
And was that simply a case of SK Gaming, they hit the targets and they kind of focused on it immediately?
I think it was a weird focus, yeah.
Basically, Nono, the AD carry, just off at the side, poking away with the protection of the bear.
And well, the thing is, the bear wasn't even there. He actually pushed into the backside of SK, while Nono was pretty much stuck with Corrales. Well, they chased Schleia, though, but it's exactly right. They didn't go over to Nono after Schleia got away. They killed Schleia, yeah, but Nono was just free to attack as much as possible and get the damage in that they needed. So they need to, protect Candy Panda. Also, might need to sit a little bit back just to get that ultimate onto him if they do need it, but he's kind of using that to commit to someone that's going into the front line.
Well, we do
actually didn't use it last fight.
Pink
now looking at it.
From Corellius onto Baron. And 6-4 in kills currently, 2-1 in turrets. Just 500 gold between the teams. Very close here, coming into the 20-minute mark. Don't really know which way this one could turn. The poke strat versus the full-on engagement. And as it is, the poke strat is starting to push. And when those spears do keep landing, it is going to start hurting, especially when it hits the support. The ultimate being swung out there from Candy Panda, but immediately the poke from Nono. There's the true shot barrage. Candy Panda, you're going to have to go home, and the poke's going to continue pushing forward on towards the turrets.
And you mentioned if a poke falls behind you, you're talking about Jat, then they fall really behind. But because of that fight, they are easily back in this game, and they keep hitting Candy Panda, which is the problem that he had when he was playing Twitch against, I think it was
Well, it's the problem that
EG 'cause he
every
kept getting
AD
caught.
carrier has. That
Well,
they just get, they're like a magnet to those pokes in that mid lane. But it is going to be another turret picked up, and that's a great push from Against All Authority, taking those 2 mid turrets.
Yeah, that was such a great job by them. If they can keep letting this poke, it's going to be perfect. And they still don't have the boots, which you were mentioning before. You might see a couple of those picked up fairly shortly. I mean, even Corrales, who's pretty much going, he got the Field Stone early on, and they went for the Ruby Sightstone as his first real big buy. And because of that, he was trying to create...
I mean, that to me is really dangerous, because
there's
as
a reason for it.
If you get dived and caught, you're not going to escape.
But there's a reason for it. It's because they kept getting invaded upon by SK in their own jungle. So he had to use some sort of item, which that benefits him way more, to keep his own jungle warded. He had to protect it. He needed the blue buff, which we're now seeing on Schleia. It created some opportunities for them to pick up a couple kills in their own jungle, and that was actually the perfect item, I think, for him to get.
So very ballsy play from Against All Authority so far.
It's working out.
Seems to be working out. They have the 3-2 turret advantage. They now have the gold lead, although it is only a tiny, tiny lead, so not really too strong. Candy Panda, ooh, nearly managed to get the combo out there. I'm not sure whether that's a possibility. Well, some expert Varus players could tell me whether they can take it. I know some champions can poke it out quickly. Ocelot will take the top turret. That's going to even things out. 3 turrets apiece, but it is only the outer turrets taken down by SK Gaming, while that inner one down is down for SK. And that bottom turret, I don't think is going to be long in the world, as No takes it down.
Oh, but
and
SK...
that's 4-3. And now SK, they kind of have a position for this top turret.
Yeah, I mean, we have No trying to come back as quick as possible. They have the ability to take it, but then again, Against Authority, they're responding to it. They're getting up towards that top lane. We need to see Virtual and Corrales hit up there as well, as they finally do make their way, but Ocelot is kind of being left unchecked because he's been in that top lane pushing non-stop.
They're going to go for the bear. Virtual down, meanwhile, just off the screen. There it is. Virtual is going to get focused on. You can see Hercubot diving through. Corellius is there. Plus the crescendo across 4 members. Is it going to be enough to keep him around? There's no damage coming out. That's the problem. Virtual was caught out, and nobody was really in a position to counter it, so the damage just didn't go down. That's a crescendo down as well.
That was such a perfect crescendo. Unfortunately, there was no follow-up, and Corrales might want to invest in a little bit of an oracle, because even though SK lost those 2 mid turrets and they lost a couple of people, they're still being aggressive. They're still pushing into Against Authority, not letting them get the fights that they want. They're not letting Against Authority push up and just do the sieges that they're trying to, well, at least what their composition's ideally made for.
No, you can see the thinking from Against Authority there. They realized they needed to try to keep SK Gaming from backing off. They pinged the bottom lane, but they were too late. They'd already backed, and that bottom lane is not going to be able to push itself. Immediately, Hercubot will clear that one out. So Against Authorities go back to trying to reclaim their jungle. As it is, the ping's coming out, and the items starting getting developed a little bit more. What are we seeing, Jason?
Oh, Corrales picked up some boots and another pink ward. I was a little bit surprised by that. I was expecting maybe an oracle just to gain control of their jungle, because they have a lot of pink wards there currently. But we do have another Blade of the Rune King picked up for No. So as you can see, I mean, Kevin, if he doesn't build some sort of armor, maybe a random is actually be the perfect item. He's going to get just torn up by Freddy and No attacking him because of the percent damage that they're going to do. Not to mention, we have the Haunting Guys done, and we have the Death Cap almost finished as well. We have potentially a Wit's End actually coming out of Aurelia. I mean, didn't he have a Stinger as his first item?
No. He was Ocelot that went for that.
Oh, I thought it was... Okay. I saw the wrong... I swear I thought Kevin had a Stinger.
You did mention it. I did want to correct you at the time. I just thought you were having a brain fart moment. It seems that it was a complete and utter follow-through. I don't even...
that was Demon's plan right
there. That was it right there. So as it is, it's just going to be all right. Sorry, I won't follow that one through. It's a little bit of scouse in me coming through there for any English viewers that are out there watching, but everybody knows what the following line is, but I can't say. Turret advantage. They now have the gold lead, although it is only a tiny, tiny lead, so not really too strong. Candy Panda, ooh, nearly managed to get the combo out there. I'm not sure whether that's a possibility. Well, some expert Varus players could tell me whether they can take it. I know some champions can poke it out quickly. Ocelot will take the top turret. That's going to even things out. 3 turrets apiece, but it is only the outer turrets taken down by SK Gaming, while that inner one down is down for SK. And that bottom turret, I don't think is going to be long in the world, as No takes it down.
Oh, but
and
SK...
that's 4-3. And now SK, they kind of have a position for this top turret.
Yeah, I mean, we have No trying to come back as quick as possible. They have the ability to take it, but then again, Against Authority, they're responding to it. They're getting up towards that top lane. We need to see Virtual and Corrales hit up there as well, as they finally do make their way, but Ocelot is kind of being left unchecked because he's been in that top lane pushing non-stop.
They're going to go for the bear. Virtual down, meanwhile, just off the screen. There it is. Virtual is going to get focused on. You can see Hercubot diving through. Corellius is there. Plus the crescendo across 4 members. Is it going to be enough to keep him around? There's no damage coming out. That's the problem. Virtual was caught out, and nobody was really in a position to counter it. So the damage just didn't go down. That's a crescendo down as well.
That was such a perfect crescendo. Unfortunately, there was no follow-up, and Corellius might want to invest in a little bit of an Oracle, because even though SK lost those 2 mid turrets and they lost a couple of people, they're still being aggressive. They're still pushing into Against Authority, not letting them get the fights that they want. They're not letting Against Authority push up and just do the sieges that they're trying to, well, at least what their composition's ideally made for.
No, you can see the thinking from Against Authority there. They realized they needed to try to keep SK Gaming from backing off. They pinged the bottom lane, but they were too late. They'd already backed, and that bottom lane is not going to be able to push itself. Immediately, Hercubot will clear that one out. So Against Authorities go back to trying to reclaim their jungle. As it is, the ping's coming out, and the items start getting developed a little bit more. What are we seeing, Jason?
Oh, Corellius picked up some boots and another pink ward. I was a little bit surprised by that. I was expecting maybe an Oracle just to gain control of their jungle, because they have a lot of pink wards there currently. But we do have another Blade of the Rune King picked up for No-No. So as you can see, I mean, Kevin, if he doesn't build some sort of armor, maybe a random is actually be the perfect item. He's going to get just torn up by Freddy and No-No attacking him because of the percent damage that they're going to do. Not to mention, we have the Haunting Guys done, and we have the Death Cap almost finished as well. We have potentially a Wit's End actually coming out of Aurelia. I mean, didn't he have a Stinger as his first item?
No. It was Ocelot that went for that.
Oh, I thought it was... Okay. I saw the wrong... I thought Kevin had a Stinger.
You did mention it. I didn't want to correct you at the time. I just thought you were having a brain fart moment. It seems that it was a complete and utter follow-through. I don't even...
That was Demon's plan right there.
That was it right there. So as it is, it's just going to be all right. Sorry, I won't follow that one through. It's a little bit of scouse in me coming through there for any English viewers that are out there watching, but everybody knows what the following line is, but I can't say on air. As it is Against Authority, they're going to get engaged on. He's going to get caught straight out. Slayer gets flipped straight in there again, and they are taking low, but an immediate cataclysm. They're all very low now. Virtual is going to get dropped there. The bear is taken out of it. He didn't really have the strength required to keep him in there. The crescendo, it's only Kevin they caught out. The intervention is enough to keep him back, and now SK's going back in. They're straight on towards Freddy. Freddy gets burnt down. No, completely position out the side there. He's going to get dropped. He's not going to be able to survive it. He gets taken down, and that is a 3 for 0, 4 for 0 as Ocelot picks up Corellius, and now Slayer in all sorts of trouble. It is going to be a Nidalee though, and he can escape for victory.
In theory, that was a great play.
Oh, no, he can't! Not when you walk straight back to Kevin when there's a ward there. Schoolboy error from Slayer. He should have just walked away, and he still escaped. Oh, that's because they just want the dragon. They don't care. He's going to try and spear it. That's a dangerous play, though, to keep a spears off the side there. He can steal this one. Oh, home guard boots. Ocelot home guard boots coming straight in. Can he catch him down? He's just going to get the slow. One more hit. Oh, no, the home guard's run out, and he's still pouncing away. He's going to close down. He can catch him. He caught the slow. That's going to be a dead Nidalee. Finally got him down.
Wow, that home guard at Kale looked really awesome.
He didn't have speed of a puma.
No, he's just a cougar. But in theory, how that entire thing started out, that was the ideal play out of Against Authority. In theory, it would have been perfect. They were trying to guard their own blue and take it, but they didn't expect that hard engage out of SK to come out with a flash out of Tarek, with Hercubot going into the back line and just pretty much separating them completely. Wow, overall, just what a great play by SK, and that turnaround they did, because they were running away. We had Corellius, who wasn't in the fight to begin with. He flashed in, went with the crescendo, only hit Kevin, but we had also follow up with the intervention, and they just turned. They just destroyed Against Authority, picking up that 5 for 0.
Well, as it stands, Against Authorities have to try and turn this around, because they've been caught out a few too many times, and when a Pokemon gets caught, it just runs, flees, and dissipates. And
we saw when Ocelot came in with those home guarded boots last time, he had those purple glows around his hands. That's because he picked up a Lich Bane, which, I mean, on the ways Kale's have been built, it's Leandre's as your second item, but he's going for that burst. He wants to just hit someone and just destroy them, because you have a lot of healing out of Nidalee, you have a lot of healing out of Corellius as well, so they're just trying to blow someone up, and honestly, as you saw right there, he took Slayer down a third of his health with one hit.
Well, they thought about collapsing around the side of them. We do have Candy Panda coming from the side as well. They may well do it. Nif, with that Oracle, being very aggressive and trying to take down that ward. As it stands, Nice Candy Panda, who has managed to land a couple of pretty impressive ultis so far that kind of got triggered these things off. And Kevin has been closing that distance, and they have to be careful with these minion waves. That's how Kevin's been closing the gap before. He's just been zipping up there, using Aurelia's abilities to close that gap.
Yeah, I mean, against Authority, they have to be really careful here, because if they lose one more major team fight, they're going to have pretty much an impossible time getting back into the game. They can't really afford to push up and siege this point. We don't have that blue buff on Schleia, though he does have his tier pretty much, yeah, he has it fully stacked at this point. He has a lot of damage with that death cap, but if you can't, you know, get that blue and have the cooldown reduction and keep throwing spears and land them, then SK is just going to get that hard engage, because they have all their ultimates up, and this flash is going to be up very shortly.
So against all authorities, are they going to follow this wave up the mid? I would say that seems a little crazy play. They are actually warding out towards Baron here, maybe trying to steal away the blue. Baru is not there, so they're just going to have to back off once again. They seem indecisive to me at the moment against our authorities. They're in the position where it's like, do we need to farm out? Are we that far behind? We are 12-4, and of course they don't see the gold count of being only, what, just shy of 3,000 gold difference. They see the 12-4 score, and that's going to feel a lot worse.
Yeah, it's a really good point, but I think hopefully Coralia sees this, because actually he does perfectly good, because he had enough money for an Oracle, and he knew that SK had one as well. Nif picked one up, was picking up a lot of wards, so he had to respawn picking up one for himself, which he did, which is honestly the great idea, because we look how many wards are currently in against Authority's jungle. If they didn't have that Oracle right now, they probably were going to be caught and picked off one by one. But that is against what Authority needs to do. Oh no, Corellius.
Oh, Hercubot once again. Corellius just picked up the Oracle and gets dropped in a second. Virtual taken down as well. He's not going to be a brave star this time around. Freddy's also in trouble. One more hit from Kevin should close it down. Ocelot flashes. Oh, he didn't do his cut. What the hell? He just flashed through to do the hit and then cancelled the action. Good lord.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened. Now, that's a perfect analysis of exactly what happened right now, Demon. But SK, they're trying to go for this Baron at this point, and they're not looking too healthy, though Kevin is zoning Schleia, which is a perfect play by him, because if Schleia can land one spear right now, he easily could secure a kill. As he's coming around from the other side, Kevin going to meet him, though, halfway.
True Shot Barrage was available, was used far too late, though, and instead actually just clip Kevin now, but they've picked up the Baron. The worm is dead. And they will go back around their business. No, just trying to keep the push on. And now actually, it's looking like Ocelot is going to try and chase down Nono. He may well catch him out here. Nono just going around the bushes. Ocelot is just above. The Arcane shifts across, and he's going to go to that bottom lane. But Ocelot is still pursuing. He has that Lich Bane to try and catch him out. He's going to go straight into that bush. He will be very close. Will he catch him? One hit. He has caught him out there, and he just drops him in a split second. It's going to be a dead no-no. Ocelot will be able to take him down. It hasn't got enough to slow him. One more hit. Oh, the barrier. Could he turn it around? No, he can't. Ocelot picks it up.
Holy crap. That damage spike out of Ocelot was insane. No, I mean, he shouldn't be in a position to get caught like that, or in terms of in a fight, but that was just ridiculous.
Well, there was no limit.
No, yeah, okay. Yeah, the song, awesome song. But
yeah, indeed.
We talked about Kevin in the previous weeks being their rock, being the person that can always will win his lane and will be very helpful for them as the game progresses. But he's sitting at 4-0-5 right now. He's keeping true to that, even picking up a Wit's End.
Schleier's trying to split push here, and they're just going to lose out. They have a poke comp, not a split push comp, and he's trying to do it with Nidalee. You can see he's off at the side. Hercubot is backing away, but immediately they just take a tower easily because they realize it's going to be a straight 4v4, and without their main mid lane, Kevin also beaten down the mid turret now. SK Gaming are just taking everything they can. Of course, they have the Baron, so there's nothing to stop them.
And they have two healers behind him as well, with an Ocelot with quite a bit of AP, sitting at almost 400 at this point, so you're not really going to do much damage to anyone. Any poke you do at this point with the Baron buff is just going to be completely nullified. And you asked me earlier, you know, having the double healers, will it be enough to counter the poke comp? And I mentioned if Against Authority falls behind, then it definitely will. And that's exactly what's happening. And at this point, even Schleia doesn't have the damage he needs to really chunk through SK at this point.
No, completely out of position, and SK Gaming just stroll in and take the inhibitor turret. They don't seem to be at odds at the moment. They don't know what's going on, and SK Gaming just stroll in, take the inhibitor, and walk out without having a single shot fired.
And I think this was two or three turrets, actually 2 turrets in a row they just picked. Actually 3, didn't they get the... No, there's just 2, sorry.
Oh, wait,
but SK...
wait, they are hanging. They're going to go in. Hercule
Oh my
engaged.
God.
Cataclysm straight in there, followed by the Virus Ultimate. Virtual taken down where he stands. It's going to be a crescendo coming out. Freddy is not going to escape the distance, though, and it's a double kill picked up by Candy Panda. Kevin now on towards Corellius. Gets the stun down. The slow dropped in a second. Slayer walking away. SK Gaming turning this into a victory before it even began. 32 minutes gone. 18-4 in kills, and it's going to be SK Gaming that close out the victory. We've said before they had problems closing the win, but they had no issue this time around. They've absolutely demolished against All Authorities poke comp.
It's a beard.
Ocelot
It's a beard.
with the beard of power.